Hello, I'm Avis Kalfsbeck, and this is the Peace is Here podcast. Welcome to Peacewarts, School of Peacecraft and Inquiry, where we practice the skills of peace through short classes. We take the peace work seriously, but not ourselves. If you're joining us mid-school year, you're not late. Orientation begins at episode 198. Welcome back, Peace Scholars. This is Chronicled Courage 101 in the Hall of Records, where we keep our eyes on the evidence. Today we study a blueprint that mastered the concept of de-escalation centuries before the modern world discovered it. We are looking at the Haudenosaunee Great Law of Peace, or Gayanare Gowa. To define it for the record, the Great Law of Peace is the oral constitution that unified the 5 original nations of the Iroquois Confederacy, the Mohawk, Oneida, Onondaga, Cayuga, and Seneca. It is one of the oldest living participatory democracies on earth. In this department, we correct the common erasure that treats these traditions as mere vibes. The Great Law was a rigorous legal framework designed specifically to break the physics of revenge and replace this cycle of war with a system of collective security. As the Great Law itself instructs, in every deliberation, we must consider the impact of our decisions on the next 7 generations. The concept, peace as living architecture. The Haudenosaunee created a federated system that prioritized stability over speed. They recognized that peace is not an accident. It is a choice that must be enforced by procedure. By making the path to war slow and difficult through a required consensus of 50 chiefs, they ensured that the living architecture of their society could withstand the heat of a crisis without collapsing into violence. The history, the technology of coordination. The founding, circa 1142 CE. While many colonial records suggest a later date, Haudenosaunee oral history and astronomical data, specifically a solar eclipse that coincided with the ratification, point to August 31, 1142, as the founding of the Confederacy. Before this, the 5 nations were locked in a mourning war cycle where the death of one person required a retaliatory strike, leading to perpetual conflict. The Great Law provided the Great Peace as a legal mechanism to end this blood feud logic. The Mother of Nations, Jigonhsasee. This architecture was a collaboration between the peacemaker, Deganawida, Hiawatha, and Jigonhsasee. Long before the Confederacy was formed, Jigonhsasee's hearth sat at the crossroads of the warrior paths. She offered neutral ground where fighters could eat in peace, operating on the principle that thinking will replace killing. She ensured the authority of the clan mothers was encoded into the law. These women were structural safeguards. They selected the male chiefs and held the power to dehorn or depose them if they acted aggressively or prioritized short-term glory over peace. The tree and the early warning system. At the founding, the warriors uprooted a great white pine and cast their weapons into an underground stream, a literal, physical commitment to a new way of life. The tree features 4 white roots of peace that extend in the 4 sacred directions, acting as a covenant for any nation seeking refuge under the law. At the very top sits the eagle. This is the early warning system. The eagle represents the scouts who watch the horizon, not to prepare for a strike, but to detect trouble while it is still far away, giving the council time to engage the tools of diplomacy before a conflict can ignite. The thesis, intergenerational accountability. The Great Law of Peace established the 7 generations principle. Every major decision was evaluated based on how it would affect those living 7 generations into the future. This structurally discouraged the first strike, which usually optimizes for short-term advantage. By forcing leaders to look centuries ahead, the Great Law made the long-term cost of war feel more real than the short-term gain of a battle. By recovering this record, we see that peace is not an experiment. It is an ancient, proven technology of human coordination. The fact that this system influenced the drafting of the U.S. Constitution, acknowledged by Congress in 1988, proves its durability, even if the peace first intent was often stripped away by those who borrowed the structure. Your homework. 1. Look up the Women's Nomination Belt, part of the wampum records, and find out how it protected the power of the clan mothers. 2. Write down one question about any of this episode's topics. If you don't have a question, just write "no question." 3. Optional. Journal. Think about a decision you have to make this week. If you applied the 7 generations principle to that decision, asking how it would affect your descendants 200 years from now, how would your choice change? The ink of the future. In the Department of Chronicled Courage, we believe that we don't need to invent peace from scratch. We simply need to remember the blueprints that were already here. History shows us that the roots of peace are still present. They have simply been buried under layers of newer, louder records. Choosing to stand under the shade of a proven system is an act of intellectual courage. Until our next lesson, keep your eyes on the evidence. Class dismissed. Thank you for listening. If you'd like to support the Pieces Here podcast, the most helpful way is to follow it wherever you're listening. It helps share the message with others. You can also support this piece work at my Patreon for $4 a month, about what a used paperback goes for these days. Just go to Patreon at patreon.com/Avis Kalfsbeck. That's AVISKALFSBEEK. My most recent book is Haudenosaunee, a best friend eco-fiction novella about food systems, featuring Tilly, Camas, Pedro, and the rest of the gang. It's book 6 in the Pedro the Water Dog Saves the Planet series and is available wherever you buy books. You can find all of my peace projects and stay in touch at aviskalfsbeck.com. Music is by Javier Peque Rodriguez. Sound effects are from Pixabay. Regarding peace, we need not delay or despair. We are not late. We are right on time to love. We are all scholars of peace. Listen for the peace.